Okay, hi. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session. In fact, this is my first session on the YouTube on how to crack every DI set in the CLAT exam. Now, what we intend to do in today's workshop is that I'm going to take you across various sets of data interpretation and just touch upon the kind of strategies that are to be used to crack DI sets. So we'll first look at a table set and uh, move on to a couple of more typical table sets, and once we start feeling comfortable with it, we will discuss some mathematics questions. Now, to just give you a very basic idea, uh, to give you a very basic idea about about you know data interpretation, is that this is one section which is generally uh, you know not taken very seriously by the aspirants, and we, and rightly so, focus a lot on reading comprehension, critical reasoning, general knowledge, and legal. But this 15 marks, can make a huge difference to your CLAT score, right? So, maths, data interpretation should not be left. It is 10% of the uh, of the marks in the CLAT paper, and even in AILET, it has got 10%. So, I've given you a basic breakup of the this section. Quant is 13 to 17 in CLAT paper, and I'm talking about data interpretation and maths. And if you look at it, over the last couple of years, they're just asking about two questions, in analytical reasoning. So 15 questions in data interpretation and about two questions in analytical reasoning, right? So DI is important. AR is not that very critical, but DI, yes, is. Um, and if you look at the AILET paper also, out of 150 marks, we have 10 marks coming in this paper. So it is about 6.66% of the paper. Here it is 150 and 15, so 10% of the paper, right? A difference between a good NLU and a not a very good NLU could be just a difference of 7 to 8 marks. So take this section seriously, and all that you need to do here is get adept with handling sets, because DI as a topic would be new to most of you, but we are using basic principles of mathematics here. The topic that is most important as far as data interpretation is concerned, the mathematics topic, is percentages, right? So getting hands-on grip of percentages will definitely help you score well in data interpretation. Now, if you see, what we try and typically do in our mocks is that we try and cover a DI set, through a topic of mathematics. So there would be a time, speed, distance DI set. There would be a time and work DI set. There would be a DI set which is based on profit and loss. In fact, this year's CLAT paper had a question on profit and loss, right? Similarly, there's a DI test, a DI set on averages. So you need to carry on with your mathematics preparation as well. So AILET and CLAT preparation actually goes hand in hand, because maths is important and maths will help you score well in DI. But listen, one very important thing is you really don't have to get into the depth of mathematics. You need to know just the basic concept. And when I say basic concept, it is your class 7th, 8th, 9th kind of syllabus. We really don't have to get into the depth, right? This is not a CAT paper, or this is not a JE paper. It's very simple mathematics, right? So what we are going to do now is I'm going to take you across certain DI sets. Now, the key factor here uh, is the speed, right? So typically, 15 questions in DI should be done in about 12 to 13 minutes, right? Assuming that you're not able to crack 2 to 3 questions. So I believe that 12 to 13 writes in about 12 to 13 writes in about 12 minutes is what you should be aiming for. So roughly about 1 minute per question is that you have. Now, in a DI set, the key thing is understanding the set. If you've understood the set, right, then it becomes very easy to crack 5 questions or 4 questions following that set. So, rule number one is when you have the paper in front of you, go through all the sets and see which one is the easiest of the lot, right? A. B is try and when I say easy, you need to first kind of figure out how you're going to solve the set, how the data has how you're going to interpret the data. So if it's a caselet or it's a histogram or a bar chart or a table format or a line chart, you basically have to figure out how you're going to deal with it, right? Do not attempt a question without figuring out how you're going to solve the set, right? And you're going to waste a lot of time then. So first, figure out the set, see how you want to solve it. It might just take you about a minute to understand. So you invest about 1 minute per set in terms of just figuring out whether you're comfortable or you're not comfortable, right? Decide your round one and round two, round three questions. So round one will be the easiest DI set that you're going to take. Round two will be the next easy, and the third one is the most difficult set. So once you've built your confidence, move on to the third set, right? First and second set is what you should ideally look at cracking, and that will give you enough confidence to deal with the third and the most difficult set, right? If you attend the mock analysis, which is tomorrow, we had a all India Open mock Clat, which is tomorrow. So in the analysis, we'll tell you how to deal with various sets of DI. So DI in this, so couple of sets were a little tricky and time consuming. So ideally in round one, we would have left those sets and done the easier sets. Okay. So now without wasting much time on the basic fundas, let me just show a set to you. So if you okay, Robert, I want you here. Now, if you look at this set, there the sales of company is given A, B, C, D for 2004, 2005, 2006, and 2007, right? I want to download the
Sheet link.
Sheet link, yeah. So I'm giving you a sheet link now, and I want you to go through this sheet and and just kind of start solving. So here you are given the data for year 2004, 2005, 2006, and 2007, and companies A, B, C, D. So let's first interpret the data here. 120 lakhs was the turnover in 2004, which became 130, became 145, became 160. Similarly for B, from 150 to 166 to 160 to 190, and so on and so forth. Similarly for C and D. Now, what are the typical questions asked here? The typical question is with respect to growth rate. Now, I'm sure you know what is growth rate. So what is growth here? Growth is a difference. So let's say for A, the growth from 120 to 160 is 440. So one is the absolute growth, which is just the difference, right? So the absolute growth here is from 120 to 160, which is 40. What is the growth percentage here? The growth percentage would be 40 upon 120. So that's a 1 by 3. So 1 by 3 is nothing but 33.33%. So you need to get comfortable with ratios. So the moment I say 1 by 3, you don't have to write a 1 by 3 into 100, making it 33.33%, right? So just understand one thing, that what are we going to deal with here is growth. When I say growth, it is the absolute growth, right? Similarly, growth percentage, which is the final value minus the initial value upon the initial value into 100. So the growth percentage. So like here, my growth percentage is 160 minus 120 upon 120 into 100, right? The third one is, what is the simple annual growth rate? Simple annual growth percentage, right? So three things. First thing is their growth, which is nothing but the absolute growth. The second thing is the growth percentage, which is final minus initial upon initial into 100. The third thing is the simple annual growth, or also called the annual growth. So what is the annual growth here? The annual growth here will be the growth percentage, which we know is 33.33. We calculated here 33.33%. So what we just do is 33.33% divided by the time period here. So what is my time period here? Not 4 years, 3 years. One time period, second time period, and third time period. There are 3 time periods. So in order to calculate the time period also, it will be the final year minus the initial year. So our time period here will be divided by 3. Okay, so that will give us the growth percentage, annual growth percentage, right? Then there is one more which is a little complicated, not very important from a CLAT perspective, which is called compounded annual growth percentage. Now, what is compounded annual growth percentage? We just have to do 160 upon 120 raised to the power 1 by 3 minus 1, right? So this is actually being derived from, um, this is being derived from, if you remember the CI formula, which is A is equal to P 1 plus R by 100 raised to power T. So if this particular thing is nothing but the R percent here. So this R percent, if we calculate, we'll get this particular value. But again, the CAG part is not very important, right? And whenever there is a growth, for instance, we have just calculated here, this is coming to a 11.11%. You can be sure that the compounded annual growth is going to be less than 11.11%. I'll tell you why later, but what I want you to know now is there are 4 type of questions that are generally asked in a table set. One is your growth, one is your growth percentage, one is your simple annual growth percentage, and the fourth one is the compounded annual growth percentage, right? If you have understood these 4 things, I would want you to attempt this sheet. I think there are 4 questions here. Please attempt this sheet. I'll give you about a minute. I'll give you about 4 to 5 minutes, and then we can start the discussion. All right? So please solve this sheet, all of you. Now, okay, have you started solving the sheet, everyone? Have you started solving the sheet? All right, please solve it. Okay, I'll just repeat again because I had to unmute, so I forgot that. So let's look at the first question here. The first question here is that 2005 with respect to 2004. So we are comparing 166 and 120. So what is the maths here? The maths here is 166 minus 120 upon 120 into 100, right? Which comes to 46. So we are looking at 46 upon 120. So this is a calculation that we are supposed to do, right? Now we don't have to use a pen or anything. We just have to calculate in the mind and get the answer. So it is basically 46 upon 120, right? Now, just by looking at the options, right, instead of calculating, right, how can you tell the answer here? Okay, so what we use here is something known as percentage method. Now, what is percentage method? It is we find out what percentage of denominator is the numerator. What percentage of denominator is the numerator? So here, if you see 10% of 120 is equal to 12, right? 10% of 120 is equal to 12, which means that 30% of 120 is equal to 36. So if 10% is equal to 12, 30% would become 36. And similarly, 40% will become 48. So all that I'm trying to tell you is that our answer is between 36 to 48. Right? So which means that our answer is between a 30% and a 40%. A 30% is giving us a 36 and a 40% is giving us 48. This is what you have to figure out in your mind when you're dealing with this question, that the answer range is between 30% to 40%. Now when it is between 30% to 40%, definitely your answer cannot be this, your answer cannot be this. So we are left with these two options now, right? Now again, I don't have to calculate the exact value. I know that 5% of 120 is, when I know 10% is 12, I know 5% is 6, right? So a 5%, if I add 5%, that will make it 35%, will make the value as 42. But what I wanted was 46. So if I add 5%, it will make 42. It will not make 46. For 46, I still have to walk a little ahead. So my answer will be between 35% and 40%, right? So again, the idea is do not calculate the exact answer. You don't have to do the maths here of 46 upon 120. In fact, you can do that, but that takes a lot of time. So what you do here is percentage method. Find out what percentage of denominator is the numerator. So here your answer is between a 30% and 40%. Then you figure out whether your answer is more than 35% or less than 35%, and that's how you eliminate, because you know that 5% is 6, so 30% is 36, 5% will make it 6 more, that's 42, but you have to calculate 46. So basically you have got 42 upon 120 plus 4. You know 42 upon 120 is 35%. So obviously, if there is 4 extra, my answer has to be more than 35%. Right? So this is how you eliminate options. Did you get this? Can I get your responses, please? Did you understand this? Have you understood this? All right. So let's come to the second example now. Okay, let's come to the second example now. Now, in the second example, we are asked how much is the average sales of company C more than the average sales of company D during this period. Now we are comparing C with respect to D. All right. Oops, Robert. I need the yellow. Give me yellow. Which one? This one? No? Okay, so just yeah. So we are supposed to find out by how much value is the average sale of company C more than the average value of company D now. All right. Now, again in this question, one way of doing it is I add all of them. So 170 plus 185 plus 190 plus 200 and I divide it by 4 to find the average. You all know how averages are calculated. It's nothing but the sum of all terms divided by the number of terms, right? Similarly for D, we calculate like this. We add all of them and divide it by 4. Again, this is not required. This would be a waste of time. What we will just do is if I have to calculate, what I'll just do is I'll see the difference here. I have to find out kitna more hai. So more ka matlab difference hua, right? More is difference. So this is 60, this is 60, this is 50, and this is 50. Now just use some common sense here that suppose the difference of one is 60 and the difference of second is 50. Right? The average difference will be 55, right? If the difference of one is 60 and the difference of one is 50, the average difference will be 55. All right? Similarly, if there are two 60s and there are two 50s, the average difference will be 55 again, right? So 160 is being countered by a 50. So my average is a 55. If I have two 60s and a two 50s, my average will still be 55, right? If I have a 110, if I have 120, my average will be 15. If I have two 10s and I have two 15s, my average will still be a 15. So this is how we calculate. All right. So again, no need to divide it by 4. Now here we are using 4 because there are 4 years, right? We are not talking about time period here. We are talking about average. Average is sum of all sales here, right? So just check this. Bihu, since you have asked this question, this is average. So average is sum of all terms. So we have 4 years here. So we have got to divide it by 4. All right. Have you understood this now? Is this logic clear? That we don't have to find out sum of all and divide it by 4. We just find the difference and then we figure out how to do this. Okay. The next one. Again, let's figure out a shorter way of dealing with this question. Let's figure out a shorter way of dealing with this question. 4 companies account for 40% of market share in 2007. What was the total sales of the market? Okay, so we're talking about year 2007, right? For year 2007, so let's add all of them here. All right, so that's 350, 550 and 700. So we are looking at 700. Now the maths here in this question is, that the 4 companies account for 40% of market share. So 40% of total market is equal to 700 lakhs. Right? We have to find the total market. So total market will be 700 divided by 40%. And 40% is nothing but 0.4. Right? Now we calculate this, we'll get the answer. But the idea is not that. The idea is not to use our formulas here to solve the question. The idea is how can I use the options to solve the question, right? So in this question also, if you look at the first value here, 16 crores. If 16 crore is the total value of the market, then 40% of that is 6.4. So just do a 40% here. This is 6.4. And how much do I want? I want 7, right? I want 7. So answer definitely has to be more than 16 crores. Therefore, the answer cannot be 14 crores. So one option I've eliminated, right? Similarly, can the answer be 20 crores? Can the answer be 20 crores? So 40% of 20 crores is 8. But how much I want? I want 7, right? So answer is definitely more than 16 crores and less than 20 crores. Therefore, my value will be 17.5 crores. Again, playing through the option. I do not have to necessarily do this maths here and calculate. I just have to use some logic while dealing with this question, right? So I save a lot on time by not using basic calculations like this. I just have to eliminate option. So that's one art that we need to learn in order to be quick with data interpretation section, right? Okay. Now let's. Is this clear to you guys? Okay. What is market share? Lalita, you have asked this question. Now, what is market share? Market share. There are two things in market share. One is volume wise or value wise. Now, what is volume wise? Volume wise is that how many units every player is selling. So here, let's say A, B, here A is selling 120 units. Actually, this is in rupees lakhs, but let's say if it is units, 120 units, 150 units, 170 units, 110 units, right? And let's say these are the only 4 players. So what is the market share of A? 120 divided by the total of all. What is the market share of B? 150 divided by the sum of all. What is the market share of C? Similarly, 170 divided by the sum of all. What is the market share of D? 110 divided by the sum of all. Right? Similarly, volume and value wise. What is value wise? Value wise, it will be 120 lakhs divided by the sum of all. So it depends what the question is asking you. So either the market share is volume wise or the market share is value wise. And remember this equation. Volume into price gives you value, right? So this is the basic equation here. Okay, so let's move on now and let's go on to the second set. Please solve the second set. I'll give you a minute to look at this and we'll start solving. All right, let's move on to the second set now. Again, we'll try and solve this set without using a pen and just by logic. Let's look at the first one. In the first one, this is a pie set, right? Now in a pie chart, they have given you, so let me just give you a brief idea about a pie chart. A pie chart, they've given you the share of um, of a television market of these 5 companies, P, Q, R, S, T. P has got 20%, Q has got 15%, R has got 25%, and 10% and 30%. Obviously, the sum of all is going to be 100%, right? First thing. Second thing is, it is not necessary that they give you percentage wise. They can also give you degree wise. So in that case, you have to convert degrees into percentage. For instance, here, this 20% here is nothing but 20% of 360. The entire circle is 360 degrees, right? So they could also give this as 72 degrees. Then we have to convert 72 degrees into 20%. How do we do that? We will just do 72 divided by 360. Okay, so that's 1 upon 5. Similarly, a 15%. A 15% of 360 will be converted that into degrees. Similarly, 25% into degrees, 25% into 360. 10% into 360, that's 36. 30% into 360, right? So that's 108, and so on and so forth. So this question doesn't require that, but I'm generally telling you that they can also give you in degrees. All right. So if they give you in degrees, you have to convert that into a percentage by dividing it by 360. All right. Okay. First thing. Now in this, there is this category S. Okay. Now S is a category. The total what is given to us is 4 lakhs. Right. Out of 4 lakhs, the company has got, X has got, S is the others category, and company X has a share of 30% in this category. Now just figure out 4 lakhs, 10% is 40,000. Now don't have to get confused with the numbers here, because everything is 1,000. So don't worry about numbers. Just worry about what will be the first 2 digit when you get the answer. What will be the first 2 digit? So here the first 2 digit will be a 4 into 3, right? A 4 into 1 into 3. A 4 into 1 into 3. So basically what we have done is 4 lakhs. We have calculated 30% of this. And before that, we would do, my mistake. So we would do 10% of 4 lakhs, and then subsequently we are doing 30% of it. So this maths is again not required. We just have to see what is the multiplication here. What is the multiplication? A 4 into 3. A 4 into 3 is 12. That's it. So all that you have to do in this question is, okay, what multiplication is going to happen eventually? Do not get worried with zeros. A lot of times we waste a lot of time in cancelling zeros, right? So what we will do is typically a 10 upon 100 into 4 lakhs. Okay, 5 zeros in a lakh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we do again a 30% of this. This is a sheer waste of time. Do not do this. Do not do this. Right? And ultimately, you're doing a 4 into 3 and then putting 3 zeros and getting 3 zeros here. But what is the need? Option number 1 here has got 10. Option number 2 has got 20. Option number C has got 12. Option number D has got 15. If we can figure out, right, that what is the first 2 digit, won't we get the answer? Okay, Himank, you've asked me why we're doing 10% of 4 lakhs. Because this category X is part of S. It says this is X has got a 30% in this category. So सबसे पहले आप कैटेगरी का अमाउंट निकालोगे. 4 लाख का 10% ये S की कैटेगरी में आएगा. ठीक है, 4 लाख का 10% इस कैटेगरी में आएगा, राइट? और उसके बाद आप उसका 30% निकालोगे, तब वो 12,000 आएगा. Have you understood this? Okay, so let's go to the next one now. Again, now in this question, what are we given? We are concerned about P here, right? We're concerned about P here. Now, total sales of P2 and P3 is given, which is part of P. This is 30,000. We have to find out the contribution of this, of P2 and P3, in the total sales of company P in the year 2011, right? Again, in this set, the basic maths here is that 30,000 is given, so just write it as 30, and this is 20. 20% of what? Of 4 lakhs, which is 80. So all that we have to figure out is a 30 by 80 or 3 by 8. What is 3 by 8? Now we need to get comfortable with percentages here. A 1 by 8 is a 12.5%, right? A 3 by 8 is nothing but a 37.5%. So you have to be comfortable. I mean, the moment you see this value, you should know 3 by 8 is 37.5. Right? So, and one more thing, 3 by 8 is nothing but a 4 minus 1 by 8. Or it is nothing but a 4 by 8 minus 1 by 8. 4 by 8 is 50%. 1 by 8 is 12.5%. So 4 by 8 is 50% minus 12.5% is 37.5%. So remember this, right? Any ratio pertaining to by 8, you should know it by heart. A 1 by 8 is a 12.5%. A 2 by 8 is a 25%. A 3 by 8 is a 37.5%. A 4 by 8 is a 50%. A 5 by 8 is a 62.5%. A 5 by 8. 4 plus 1 by 8. We know 4 by 8 is 50%. So 1 by 8 is 12.5 additional. That's 62.5, right? What is 6 by 8? Is nothing but 3 by 4, 75%. What is 7 by 8? A 7 by 8. This is nothing but 1 minus 1 by 8. What is 1? 100%. What is 1 by 8? 12.5%. So this becomes 87.5%. Right? So you got to be comfortable with ratios. Understood this? Right? Comfortable with ratios. So while I'm dealing with ratios, the pie charts, I'm also giving you some inputs on, what goes behind the curtain, your comfort zone with various other things, right? Next question. Okay, let's look at this set now. I'll give you a minute. Just try and understand what this set is all about, and then we'll get cracking. Okay, let me know once you're done and we can start the discussion. But I want you to try and figure out this set. This is a good set, and the discussion will be nice. I just want you to solve and figure out how this is to be done. I'm giving you a couple of minutes and then we'll start the discussion. Okay, Suti, that's great. Okay, what about the others? Have you solved it? Okay. So let's understand this set now. We are given sales in rupees, market share, growth rate. What is growth rate? Our growth over last year. That's the growth rate. Right? Market share. Now, what we are supposed to do in this kind of a table set is first get cracking with filling the values. Once you have done that, the rest is just a byproduct of it. You just have to take the answers. So we will just crack this set and then you can do the questions. Okay? 25% of market is 60,000. 25% of market is 60,000. Now what is 37.5%? Is nothing but 25% plus 25% ka आधा, half of it. Yes? So this is 25% plus 25% ka आधा, which is 12.5%. So that makes it 37.5%. So this is 60,000 and 60,000 ka half, that's 30,000, will make this 90,000. So I'm just writing 90K. K means 3 zeros. Right? Okay. Now, company A and company B are not the only players. There are others also in the market. Right? Now, if 25% of the entire market is 60,000, then 100% of the market will be what? Just into 4. So the total market is obviously 100%. So if 25%, if 1/4 of that market is 60,000, then 100% of that market will be 4 times, and that will make it 240K. Got it? Now, we have to find out growth rate of sales. What is growth rate? How much I grew over last year. So we need to find out this. So this value is given, but last year's value is not given. So if last year's value is not given, can we find this? I need last year's value, no? Because then I will do this minus this upon this into 100 to calculate. But last year's value is not given. Therefore, this cannot be determined. Right? Similarly, for company B, we know this value, right? But do we know last year's value? No, we do not know. Therefore, this again cannot be calculated. Right? So we have cracked this bit of it. Yes, we know last year's market. 240K was after a 50% growth. So can you tell me what was last year's market? Can you tell me what was last year's total market? Last year's total market will be, let's say it is X. So X grows by 50%. Now again, I'm using a concept of multiplying factor. So when something grows by 50%, it is nothing but X plus X by 2. Right? The amount plus amount by half is the growth. So we just use a multiplying factor, which is 3 by 2. So when something grows by 50%, right, we are using a multiplying factor of 3 by 2. And therefore, this will become equal to 240. Once we calculate this, we will get this as 160. Right? And you can otherwise also calculate, 160, 50% is 80, so that will make it 240K. So you just need to get the maths right here. X into 3 by 2 is going to give you a 240, and X is my last year's total market. Right? No, or then it's not 120K, it will be 160. Pavni, you got it right. So 160 will be the answer. How? Total market has grown by 3 by 2 or 50%. Right? And therefore it's giving you 240K. Okay, so we have cracked this data. Now let's move on to this. Okay, now we are given 90K here. What will be the value of company B here? We are given 66.66. Now 66.66 is a very dirty number. I'm not going to play with this. I'm going to convert this into a ratio. So what is the ratio? The ratio will be 2 by 3. Right? So 90,000 has grown by 2 by 3. So either I use a multiplying factor. Now what is the multiplying factor in this case? X plus 2 by 3x. So let's say I'm X here and I've grown by 66.66%. I will be X plus 2 by 3x. So that will be 5 by 3x. So either I multiply 90K into a 5 by 3, right? Or I just calculate a 90,000 into a 2 by 3. That's 60K. So I've grown by 60K. Right? I have grown by 60K. So I do a 90 into 5 by 3 to get the final value, or I do 90K plus 2 by 3 of 90K, right? That's 60K. So this will give us 150K. Again, don't make a mistake of adding these two to get the total market, because there are others also, which is not mentioned here, right? So this becomes, if 1/3 of the market is 1 lakh, if 1/3 of the market, this is 33.33, is 1 by 3. If 1/3 of the market is 1 lakh, what is the total market? What is 100%? Into 3. So this becomes 3 lakhs. Right? Now, what about the market share? The market share is my sales versus the total market. So company B sales is 150. 150 divided by 3 lakhs, 150 divided by 3 lakhs will be equal to 50%. Right? Similarly, so 3 lakhs is 300K. 60,000 has grown to 1 lakh. So what is the growth percentage? The growth percentage is, so you can just do like this. 60 has become 100. So 6 has become 10. So 3 has become 5. Right? So convert this into the smallest ratio possible. Convert this into the smallest ratio possible. So the smallest ratio is 3 has become 5. So when 3 becomes 5, what is the growth percentage? 2 upon 3. Which is nothing but 66.66%. Right? Similarly, 240K has become 300. 240K has become 300. So what is my growth percentage? A 240K has become 300. You can otherwise also calculate it 60 upon 240 or a 1 by 4, that's 25%. But like I said, convert this into a ratio. So 24, 30, 6 into 4s and 6 into 5s. So 4 has become 5. So when I say 240 has become 300K, it is nothing but a 4 has become 5. So my growth is 1 upon 4, which is 25%. That makes it 25%. Alright, so we have cracked the entire set, and that's it. Now you can deal with the questions. There's one or two good questions here which you can solve. Alright, have you understood this now? Have you understood this? So crack this set. Now the other question becomes so easy. What is the market share of all the other companies put together in the Dehradun market in 2011? Now we know that the two of them are 33.33 and 50%. So that makes it 83.33. So 83.33 out of 100%. So the balance will obviously be 16.66%. See, the other questions are now easy, right? So I want you to solve them. I mean, I don't have to do much now. The set is solved. What is the company's market share in the 2009? We've already solved this, right? 25%. So now you can solve this set. All right. So let's move on now to the third set. So please solve this question. This is a very good question. Question number 9. Make a mark of this question. It's a good question, right? And please solve this. All right. And yeah, even this one. Okay, no, not this one. This is the easy one. Yeah, this one. Let's solve this question. Let's do question number 11. Sanjay, you're writing CTC, so I'm not able to understand what CTC is. Please enlighten me. Okay, now let's look at this question. If there were 5 companies operating in Dehradun market in the year 2010, and each one had at least a 5% market share on value basis, what could be the maximum market share of one of the companies in other segment. Now we are talking about 2010, right? Now look at this. This is 25% and 37.5%, right? Okay. All right. So 25% and 37.5%. So this is, if we add both of them, it makes it 62.5%, right? So we've got 62.5%. Now he's saying that, so these are two companies, A and B. Now there is C, there is D, A, B, C, D, and E. We have to maximize one. We know A and B is given. It's given. And how much is that? 62.5. So to make, let's say, E maximum, we have to keep the minimum value for C and D. Then only can I make E maximum. Right? So he said that at least 5% होना चाहिए. Right? At least 5% होना चाहिए. इसका मतलब इसको मैंने 5% डाला, इसको मैंने 5% डाला. Right? So ये हो गया 10%. तो दोनों को मिला करके हो जाएगा 72.5%. राइट? हमारा टोटल मार्केट है 100% का, 100% का, उसमें 72.5% ए बी सी डी का हो गया. तो बैलेंस कितना बचा? बैलेंस बचा हमारा 27.5%. 100 minus 72.5. Okay? So have you understood this? Is it CTC? Okay? चलो अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's come to this set now. Again a pie chart. Okay, please take a look at this chart now and we will discuss this. They've given you the breakup of the expenditure where, okay, now this should be taxation. And so we are starting with taxation, which is here. This is taxation. The second one is petrol. And this is education. And this is entertainment. And the last one is miscellaneous. So the lowest one is the miscellaneous one. So you just see the breakup. Now you can just solve the questions. Suti, you couldn't understand the previous one? The maximum, minimum? All right, could you solve this set? Okay, again, we'll try and solve this set without using pen, paper, just calculations in the mind. The family saves 30% of its income in the month of August. Right. Now we've got 50,000 rupees and 30% we are saving. So what is 30% of 50,000? That's 15. Right? So we are saving. So I'm allowed to do the calculation because I'm explaining to you. We know that 30% is going into savings. So therefore 70% will go into expenses. E is expenses. Right? So 50,000 into 7. That will make it how much? That will make it 35,000. So we have got 35,000 for expenses. We have to find out how much is petrol. So petrol here is 20% in the pie chart. So we have 35k k into 20%. So that's 7. Again, forget about the zeros. Don't worry about that. 35 into 2 is what you have to figure out. And 35 into 2 will give the first digit as 7. So that will be your answer. All right? Understood? All right. So let's move on to the second set now. If the total expenses on education and miscellaneous heads in the month of August is rupees 7,000, then find the savings of the family in the month of August. Okay. So now he's saying education, which is 20%, and miscellaneous is 5%. So he's saying that, let's do it in the mind, that 25% of my expenses is 7,000, right? So 100% of my expense will be what? Into 4. If 25% is 7K, 100% expense will be into 4. So that's 7 into 4. That's 28,000, right? And I need to find out my savings. So out of 50,000, if I am spending 28,000, then how much am I saving? 50,000 minus 28,000. That's 22,000. So that's the answer, right? So you don't have to do anything in this. Okay, so just for convenience sake, I'm doing this question once more, explaining it here. Now, this and this is given to you as 25%, education and miscellaneous, which is 7K. So 100% is nothing but into 4. So this will be into 4. So this will become 28,000. What is this? Is my total expense, the entire pie. Right? My income is how much? 50K. Out of which 28K is expense. Therefore, minus 28K. That's equal to 22K. So 22K would be my answer. All right? Have you understood this? Yeah. Understood, everyone? So can we just move on? Yeah. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is, you have the sheet with you, and so before I move on to maths, what I want to tell you is that become very comfortable with ratios, right? So you should know multiplying factors, you should know uh, ratios, and then conversion into multiplying factors, right? So take it as a challenge for this week. We will try and do one DI session on YouTube every week, and I want you to go through topics on percentages, profit and loss, and simple interest, compound interest, right? So let's look at the engagement. If it works, then we can kind of do it weekly sessions, and but I want you to kind of just go through the basic course of percentages, simple interest, compound interest, and profit and loss for next week, and we'll fix a day for the next session, and I'll make some DI sets based on these three topics, right? So let's see how you are comfortable doing maths based DI sets, okay? And that's how Clat is supposed to be. So so just focus a bit on maths alongside DI, and you will see you'll become very, very comfortable. So now let's for instance, be comfortable with ratios, and you should know shortcuts also. So when I did my CAT preparation, I mean, I kind of had my own ways of calculation, and I'll teach you a few ways today. For instance, let's say these the simple ratios are very easy. A 1 by 2 is a 50%. A 1 by 3 is a 33.33%. A 1 by 4 is a 25%. A 1 by 5 is a 20%. A 1 by 6 is a 16.66%. Right? A 1 by 7 is a 14.287%. A 1 by 8 is a 12.5%. A 1 by 9 is a 11.11%. Right? So these are my basic ratios here. Now, how does it help? It helps us in calculations, right? Now, for instance, if I say something has increased by 50%, so all that I'll do is, let's say the number is A will become 3 by 2. So we use a multiplying factor. Similarly, if something has dropped by 50%, then we'll just say A into 1 by 2, right? Something increases by 33.33%. So what we'll do is, we will just say A will become 4 by 3. A drops by 33.33%. So A into 2 by 3. Right? Similarly, A increases by 25%. So A into 5 by 4. A drops by 25%. So A into 3 by 4. And so on and so forth. So become comfortable with using multiplying factors. Right? Now, for instance, if I tell you A increased by 25% and then increased by 20% and then dropped by 14.28%. Right? So what we'll do is, we'll just use the multiplying factors here. So A into 5 by 4 into 20%. So 20% is 6 by 5. And then it dropped. So I'm using a multiplying factor for dropping, which is 6 by 7. All right. So this is how you have to do your calculation. And again, if I tell you it increased by 16.66%, right, subsequently. So this will become a 16.66 is nothing but 7 by 6. Now what is the final value? 7 cancels, 6 cancels, 5 cancels. So this becomes 3 by 2. So a 3 by 2. So A has become 3 by 2A. So now you should know that this is nothing but a 50% increase. So we'll look at a 50% increase in the answer choice. Understood? Okay, so this is how we are going to be using ratios. Similarly, if you look at the other values, now just a small shortcut here. If we have a value like 1 by 7, if I want to know, you should get comfortable with knowing all values of 1 by 7, like a 2 by 7, 3 by 7, 4 by 7, 5 by 7, 6 by 7. So, I had this particular thing when I did my preparation. So 14.2857 is the value, and this is a recurring non-terminating number. So just to remember the values, what we do is we make a circle, right? And you just have to remember this circle, which is the golden circle, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7. So remember the circle. Now it will be easier for you to remember all the values of 1 by 7, right? How? A 1 by 7, you have to move in the clockwise direction. So what is the clockwise direction? You'll move like this. And you'll move in ascending order. So two things to figure out all values of 1 by 7 is that we are going to move in ascending order and we are going to move clockwise. Alright? So 1 by 7 is a 14.28571. A 2 by 7, after 1, what is the bigger number? Ascending order immediate number which is bigger than 1 is 2, greater than 1, right? So this next number we'll start from here will become 28.57, will become 28.57, right? 3 by 7, which is the number greater than 2, immediately which is greater than 2 is 4, right? So now we'll move in a clockwise direction from here. So a 3 by 7, obviously a 3 by 7 is less than 50% because 50% of 7 is 3.5, right? So this number is 42.85. And what about 4 by 7? So number after 4 is 5. The number will be from here, which is 57.14. Actually, it's 57.1428 and it's a recurring non-terminating number. After 4 by 7, what is the number? Is 5 by 7, right? And the number will become 71.42. 71.42%. Right? Similarly, a 6 by 7. So the number will become 85.71. 85.71%. So now from this, you know all the values pertaining to 1 by 7. Right? So just practice it a couple of times and you'll be able to memorize these numbers. The moment you see such numbers in the question, you know where to use a multiplying factor. So let's say if it's mentioned that the value increased by 28.57%. So all that you have to do is the number A into a 9 by 7. It becomes so easy. But suppose you start doing your calculation in terms of 1 plus R by 100 or 1 plus 28.57 upon 100, it becomes too cumbersome because it's a very difficult number to handle. So converting this into ratios definitely helps. Okay? So similarly you have, so this is, I'll give you one more. 1 by 11 is nothing but 9.09%. So 2 by 11 is 18.18. So you repeat, 2 by 11 is a 18.18%. It's always a repetition here. So whenever you see a repetition, it's a by 11 term. 3 by 11 is a 27.27%. Right? So it is always a repetition. 1 by 12 we've already done today. That's we did a 1 by 8 here. So 1 by 12 is a 8.33%. Now you can figure out all the values of 1 by 12. Now for instance, the number is 5 by 12. All that you have to do is split it, 6 minus 1 by 12. We know 6 by 12 is 50%. So 50% minus a 1 by 12. This is nothing but 8.33. We know that. So this will become a 41.66%. Like that. Okay? So become comfortable with it. I'll give you one more shortcut for a number, like a 1 by 17 for instance. A 1 by 17 is a 5.88%. Okay? So 1 by 17, what we do is, this is my numerator, right? So we multiply the numerator by 6 here. So 1 into 6. Okay? And इसका double कर दो. इसका double क्या हो जाएगा 12. Now do 2 decimal shift. My decimal is here. I'll do 2 decimal shift, 1 and 2. Okay? And get it here. So now I'll do 6 minus 0.12. That makes it 5.88. So this way I can calculate all the values of 1 by 17. For instance, my value is, let's say 5 by 17. So what I'll do is, I'll multiply it by 6, which is 6 into 5, 30. Double of 30 is 60. 2 decimal shift, 1, 2. 30 minus 0.6, that's 29.4%. So that will be 5 by 70. Okay, I have a number like 11 by 17. I'll do 11 into 6, 66. Double of 66, 132. Double of 66 is, 132. So 132. Two decimal shifts, 1, 2. So my number will become 64.68. Like that. So this is how I, calculate the values. Understood? Similarly, if you have a value like, let's say, 1 by 19 you have. Now 1 by 19 is 5.25%. So the trick here is you multiply the numerator by 5, 1 into 5, right? And what is a half of 5? 2.5. And do one decimal shift. So the number will become 5.25%. Right? Let's say the number is 4 by 19. So the numerator is 4. We multiply the numerator by 5 here. So 4 into 5, 20. Half of 20 is 10. Do one decimal shift. So the number will become 21%. So this is how you will deal with 1 by 19 ratio. So more I'll discuss in the next session. Now just get comfortable with it. So I've given you a couple of tricks for 1 by 7, 1 by 17 I told you, and 1 by 19, right? So in fact, if you have a number like 1 by 15, never calculate like this. It is actually 6.66%. Don't take it like that. Always convert this into a ratio. Deal as 20 by 3%. It will be much easier for you to calculate if you're dealing with a 1 by 15. Alright? Okay. Now, let's move on to a couple of quant questions, and I want you to practice this at home. Let's do 3-4 questions. Okay? Now, the daily wage of worker first increased by 30% and then decreased by 30%. Find the net change. Now, what is that we are dealing in this question is successive percentage change. We can also use multiplying factors here. So, when something increases by 30%, it becomes 13 by 10. When something drops by 30%, it becomes 7 by 10 of it. So, my number will become 91 by 100, right? So, if the number is A, it will become 91 by 100 of A, or it is 91%. So what is a drop? The drop is 9%, right? Or I can use the formula A minus B minus AB into 100. Or better still, just do it in a head. That suppose I'm 100, I'm on 100 rupees. 100 rupees becomes 130, right? It increases to 130. And then 130 drops by 30%. So 130 may say 30% chala gaya. So 13 threes is 39. So 130 minus 39 makes it 91. So 100 से 91 हो गया तो 9% का drop है. So you can also do this question like that. The answer will be 9% decrease. Okay? Okay. A careless shopkeeper uses weighing machine which reads 900 grams instead of 1 kilo. Find the loss percent he makes when he sells 2 kg. Irrespective, whether he sells 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg, 5 kg, doesn't matter. Right? What is happening here is that he is using a weighing scale which reads 900 grams. So he is giving a kilo worth of stuff, but actually he is charging for only 900 grams. So in questions like this, you think in terms of the investment that you have put in. So let's say 1 gram, CP of 1 gram, cost price of 1 gram is equal to 1 rupee. So basically, his cost for 1000 grams is equal to 1000 rupees. Right? This is his investment, right? This is his investment. But how much he realizes if he's selling CP and SP, at the same price? What is he realizing? He's realizing just 900 rupees if SP is equal to CP. So just because of this fault of his, he is not able to realize the entire amount. He is realizing 900 rupees. Therefore, the loss is 100 rupees on 1000 investment. This is his investment, INVT, and this is the return that he gets. He gets a return of 900. This is a loss that he gets. So this becomes 10%. Okay, so the answer will be 10% here. Next one. Questions like this. CP of 8 articles is equal to selling price of 11 articles. You just have to use the equation here. CP of 8 is equal to SP of 11. So wherever you see a bigger amount, wherever you see the SP, right, just put the CP here. You will only be able to sell 11 items when you have bought 11 items, right? So you have bought 11 items. So तुमने पैसे लगाए 11 के. Again, see it from an investment point of view. तुमने पैसे लगाए 11 के और तुम्हें कितने के पैसे मिले 8 के. तुम्हारा लॉस कितना हुआ 3 का. कितने में से 11 में से. ये तुम्हारे पैसे लिखे हैं, पैसे लगे हैं और इतना तुम्हारा लॉस हुआ है. जैसे कि लास्ट क्वेश्चन में भी हमने किया, we put 1000 rupees and we got just 900, so our loss was 100. Similarly here we put 11 and we got 3, so our loss is a loss percent is 3 by 11. Now 1 by 11 is 9.09, so 3 by 11 will be 27.27%, so on and so forth. So I want you to practice this and get comfortable with this. The rate of interest is 5.55 and the ratio of CI in the 96th year to CI in the 97th year for the same principle is. Again, whenever you see a question like this is nothing but a ratio, 1 by 18. Right? You see a ratio like this. So now what's happening in CI is, CI every year, now let's say you put 100 rupees in compound interest and it grows at 10%. So this year it will become 110, then it will become 121, then it will become 133.1. So every year it increases by that 10%, 10%. Right? So similarly from 96 to 97, it will increase by this percent, 1 by 18%. Okay? So let's put it X was the 96 year ka amount, grows by how much? 1 by 18 of X in 96. And what is the value? This becomes 19 by 18 X of 96. So we have to compare X96 versus 19 by 18 of X96. So therefore this will become an 18:19 ratio. Alright, so this will be your answer. So please practice this question and the sheet that I've given you. It's a very simple sheet and we could discuss it the next time that we are here and we can discuss these questions here. So remember, data interpretation, you have to practice a lot of sets, different kind of sets. The next session that I take, I will be dealing more with line charts and histograms, and I want you to practice some DI sets and become comfortable with them. So with it, now since this is a YouTube session, I would not stretch it too far. I want you to go through this video, understand the basic concepts, become comfortable with ratio, do the chapter of profit and loss, SICI, and percentages for the next week session that I'm going to take on DI. And so it was nice taking this session, and I hope it was some value addition for you. The next 4 to 5 months, I sincerely believe that if you're able to practice at least 2 sets a day of data interpretation, 2 sets a day, that should be your goal. Just 2 sets a day, right? And practicing it 5 days a week you should be able to, get at least above 10 out of 15 in the DI in the DI section of the CLAT paper. So just practice. From where can you practice? Definitely a material mocks. That's one of the things. You can also download some of the MAT exam papers. You don't have to do CAT exam paper, but you can practice MAT exam, MAT, right? And so that will be very effective. And just pick up any two sets, meaning just make it a practice. It will take you about 35-40 minutes, but start practicing, and it will be a great way of improving your calculation skills. Initially it will be difficult. The first 1 month you have to get out of your comfort zone, and it will be difficult. I can understand that, but after 1 month, it will become very easy for you. So just start practicing this, and I hope you like the session. And yes, those of you who have called me in Delhi, I keep traveling to Delhi, and just let me know your center. I'll fix up my class there whenever I'm traveling to Delhi, and it will be great taking a session with you guys. Ria, you're quite a regular student here, and good to see you. And I'll see you in Pitampura Center whenever I'm coming next. All right, thank you guys. It was lovely having you in this session today. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks a ton. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask me, and if there's any question that you want to ask me, you can ask me.